Hey there, this is Mr. Charles again. Today we're going to be talking about a therapy technique called easy onset, and I'm going to go into how you can use this, how you can practice it at home, um, and I'm going to refer to some of the materials I'm going to be sending over to you that you can practice while I explain this technique. So easy onset is essentially, and it's also sometimes called easy starts as well. Easy onset is essentially prolonging the vowel sound at the beginning of a word. Again, this is for words that begin in a vowel sound, not with a consonant. So just your words that start with A, E, I, O, U. And when you're starting the word, you're gonna speak. You're gonna speak as you breathe out, and you're gonna do it very easily, without a lot of tension or anything like that. So I'm going to switch over to my screen that has some of the words and show you how you can do this. Now, the pictures they have on these cards, they have a little bit of a line going down a slope, and that's there to help the student help them visualize themselves speaking as they breathe out. So that line is supposed to represent them breathing out, and they're going to take their finger at the top and move it down that line as they go. So let's switch over to that. So if you look here, the first word I have up is I'm, a very short word. It's a good one to start with. So what I'm going to do, since I don't have a finger, I'm going to take my mouse pointer here. We're going to start at the top of the hill where the ice skater is, and they're going to skate down. And I'm going to use this here to represent my finger, but I would do this. I'm going to breathe in. I'm. 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 Now, if you listen closely, you'll hear a little bit of an H sound at the beginning of that. That's okay. I'm only doing that at the beginning of this process because I want to make it very clear that I'm breathing out as I say these words. These breaths, you to even practice breathing, you might want to do that before you start these exercises or practicing this, just to get that breathing down. A nice deep breath. Breathing from the belly, not the chest. That's where we want to breathe, is down there so we get in enough air. So you want to breathe in. Time. So once you get that down, you practice it a few times, you can go on to some of the other words and do it. The whole point of this technique is we're stopping a blockage of airflow. So one of the most common disfluencies you'll hear when you're producing vowel sounds is a block. And that sounds like this. Uh, 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 I'm, I'm. You always hear that blockage of airflow. That was a little bit more dramatic than it usually is. It's usually more like I'm. Uh, good example of this. My last name is Attard, which starts with the vowel sound. For the longest time when I was a kid, I got hung up on the sound at the beginning of my last name. So when I would say it, it would be Charles Tard. It'd be hard for me to get out. It would take me forever. Um, if I were to say that now with easy onset, it would sound more like Charles Tard. Charles Tard. That's doing it quickly, less pronounced, but there are ways to do it. That's a very short breath, and when you get used to practicing it, it can turn into that. Usually with our younger kids, we don't do that just yet. It's starting with very pronounced, very long pronunciation of these um, words using easy onset. It just helped in the beginning. So that's what we're going to start with now. If you come across situations when you're carrying on conversations throughout your normal day that you hear blocks like that, usually at the beginning of a sentence or at the beginning of a word that starts with a vowel sound, what you want to do is wait. You want to make sure that you're waiting until the student gets out what they want to say before you say anything about their disfluencies at all. we don't want to cause any stress or anxiety or anything that may increase tension while that student is speaking. So, like let's say the student says, I'm going to go outside, but they say it more like, I'm going to go outside. Um, let them get that out. Then at the end, say, hey, I noticed your speech was a little bumpy on that sentence. That's usually the word that we use. We don't say stuttering or disfluency. It's usually your speech was kind of bumpy on that sentence, just to raise awareness of it afterwards. Now, the best time to do this is after you've practiced. You don't just want to like randomly do it throughout the day in the beginning, but really good to do after practicing, and say, hey, remember when we practiced doing easy starts or easy onset? What I want you to do is let's try saying that word again, but this time we'll say it using an easily at the beginning. So then you go back and practice it saying, I'm just that one word, not the whole sentence. Sometimes the student will want to say the whole sentence. If that's the case, that's fine. Sometimes I'll jump ahead and want to say the whole thing. That's fine. But you typically just want to start with I'm. And when they say it right, high fives, tons of praise, hugs, all that. We want to make speaking a um, positive thing, not a negative thing. So always shower a lot of praise, focus on the positive, practice these techniques in very small chunks. You don't want to overload them with too much at once. So starting with just single words, and yeah. So if you have any questions about the practice that I send over, let me know. But that's a quick overview on easy onset.